Hi everyone! In this video, we are going to find the domain given an equation. Find the domain of the function in interval notation. The thing that is easiest to find for the domain are any restrictions that happen in the domain. I have a variable on the bottom, and there's some restrictions with fractions. I cannot divide by zero. And that variable is also in a radical, and there's a restriction inside radicals when I'm working with real numbers. And the restriction is that it needs to stay positive. So let's take inside this radical and we'll give it some of those restrictions. We know it needs to be greater than zero because I can't divide by zero. It also needs to be greater than zero because I can't have a negative inside the radical. And so I'm going to say greater than zero, but I can't say greater than or equal to zero, because if it equals zero, then the denominator would be zero and we would be dividing by zero, and that's not something we can do. So we'll just set 5x minus 25 is greater than zero and solve for x. So we add 25 to both sides and we get 5x is greater than 25. Divide both sides by 5. So we get x is greater than 5. And that right there will give us a domain in which we will never divide by zero and never have a negative inside the radical. Now the tricky part is to write this in interval notation. Let's go ahead and make a number line here. Here's 0 and here's 5. And we know that x needs to be greater than 5. Notice how it's opening up towards the x, which means all of the numbers bigger than. If we were graphing this as a number line, as we did in the past, we'd do an open circle, and then we would say all of the numbers bigger than 5. The open circle meaning that we're not including it. So sometimes it's easier to see that written out on a number line first. Now I know that with interval notation, we go from left to right just like we do with the number line, and I'm going to start with 5, but I can't include it. So it's a parenthesis, not a bracket, comma, and it looks like this is going to continue on forever, which means that it goes to infinity. And since I can't include infinity, I will close it with a parenthesis. So in interval notation, it is from 5 to infinity, and now we're all done.